Welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. We're here to help scale your business, build stronger teams, and sharpen your leadership skills. I'm your host, Denise Killian, for the GrowthPro Edge. And today, we're going to be tackling an issue that many of us are struggling with, and that's the decline in consumer spending. Oftentimes, we think, well, people are spending less. Let's encourage them to come back more frequently or spend more money, and a membership is the way to do it. Well, today's guest has a different solution that might surprise you. We're speaking with Jim Kessler, one of the co-founders of Lasertron. So let's get started for today's Edge. Jim, welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. We're thrilled to have you this week.
Denise, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Listen, I want to start this conversation, my friend, before we get into the membership questions and the how do we increase frequency with our customers. First, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experiences.
Okay. Well, I'm Jim Kessler, and I'm the owner and founder of Lasertron. I've been in this business since long time, been 37 plus years. We opened our first entertainment center in Buffalo, New York in December 1988. I actually was a college project. I dropped out of school after my junior year to start Lasertron, and it took about 2 years to get it open. And that laser tag arena, we started with a big multi-level or big, I guess, split level laser tag arena, and that kind of grew into a full entertainment center. We have outdoor miniature golf, 27 holes. We have indoors now. We're about 22,000 square feet. We're gonna and indoors we have a big multi-level laser tag arena, 35 arcade games, 9 axe throwing lanes currently, 5 crazy darts, 3 billiard tables, and social gaming's been a big driver for us over the last 5 years. We also opened an entertainment center in Rochester, New York, a little over 10 years ago, which is a little under 30,000 square feet. About half of it social gaming, 35 arcade games, big multi-level laser tag arena, full kitchen, full bar. Both locations have decent sized bars now. Our focus is really adults first, and families and kids second. If you don't satisfy the adults, um, you may get the kids, but you're not going to be in business long. If your goal is to capture corporate groups and kind of the full market. And we kind of made that decision probably almost 20 years ago. We saw, there was a lot of competition for birthday parties. We wanted to be something that was more broad and with the scope of who we got. And especially the last 10 years with the baby bust is like if you're going after kids, especially in the Northeast and I guess the slower growth markets, it's just they're putting up nursing homes faster than they're closing schools and putting up nursing homes. So it's you have to be I think in a much broader scenario, unless you're specifically kid focused and you're going to dominate the market. And if there's two of you, I don't know how you do it, but that's what we do. And we're also in the manufacturing side of the business. I would say 70%, 80% of what we have in our facility is manufactured by us. And we've been doing that since the very beginning. We actually built our own laser tag equipment from day one, and then got really quick into the manufacturing side of it.
So quite a long history in doing this. You said 37 years. First of all, inventing something that is kind of amazing. So congratulations on that. But also 37 years is a long time for any business.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to talk with you today, because not only in your 37 years of experience, but you are somebody who really looks for information and gathers a lot of information and resources to make a decision and to put something into action. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about memberships today. And I think we can all agree across the country, the frequency of our guests is going down. The dollar spend per cap every time they come in to location is going down. People are just being more precious with how they're spending their money. So a lot of folks think memberships, right? There's a membership now for everything from even, when I get my hair cut, they want me to sign up for a membership to any service or places I go. And you've explored this for a long time. So let's talk with, first why people like memberships, why owners and businesses like memberships, like the pluses of it.
Again, just like us, we experimented with it for 5 years, like hard, like I mean, literally, there were times when we changed the pricing boards the same day because there was a negative response based on the current, proposal for a membership. Um, we probably went through 50 iterations of different value points for membership, and we wrote all the software for it. Both of our facilities and probably about 3 dozen of our clients use our software to run their facilities, and so we did this. We've been doing this for a long time. We don't really actively promote it, but we have it because we can customize everything ourselves and do it rapidly. Whereas when you work with a POS company, it's just like we'll get to that maybe in 3 years, and for us, it's just like we need to do it tomorrow. Um, and what I can say about memberships is number one, don't do it. I mean, you can do it, but like the problem is you have to ask the right question first. And it's not like I need to do memberships because I need recurring revenue. It's like, no, what you need is your customers to want to come back to your facility in the same month. Um, and that's a very heavy ask. And so if it's a very heavy ask, that means you have to either discount your membership to such a ridiculously low number that you're really not making any money on it, or you got to hard sell it, and no one wants to hard sell somebody, at your front counter when they walk into the facility. So it's a very difficult sell, number one. And if you do it, the other thing is if you do it for like 1 year, 6 months, or whatever the time limit is, um, you don't even know if it's working. If you're doing a membership for 1 year, you don't know if it's working until week or year or month number 13. Do they renew after that time? And with most membership plans, subscriptions, you name it, like you may lose 50% of them at the end of the first year. So you start out and you got, oh, we got great, we got 10% of our customers are on the membership. Well, at the end of that first year, it's probably gonna be less than 5%. Um, so you did all this effort, you hard sell or soft sell or however you want to call it at the front counter to get your guests to do this. Um, and at the end of the year, you lose 50%, because they didn't think the value was good enough and they stuck with it. And the other thing is, we literally wrote software where if they stopped visiting, because you could tell if they're visiting enough, if they stopped visiting within 2 months, we did not bill them for the third month. And you're like, well, that's crazy, just keep charging them. And well, I'm not that person. I can't do that. And our manager that was kind of supervising us at the time basically said, well, I'm going to quit if we don't do something because I can't take these phone calls anymore where the customer forgets about it. They call up and it's just like, I can't do this anymore. My husband lost his job, whatever the reasoning is. Um, you just literally are pissing off your customers that don't want to be on it anymore. And by the way, did you sign up for the membership at your hair salon?
I did not.
Okay. Like, why didn't you? Wasn't it a great deal? Like, I don't understand, you know, and that's
It
the
is
reaction.
that, yeah, for me and in today's world, it is that everything has become a subscription or a membership.
Yep.
And, certainly I get my hair cut, right? But I don't get my hair cut often enough to add on another membership that I'm going to forget about, right?
Right.
Or
Right.
and to me it just feels like it's not something that I'm a tremendous fan of as a personal consumer, because as you
But
just kind of said, the long term I don't see the value.
well, almost nobody is. But here's my question for you: do you go back to the same hair salon?
I do.
Okay, so they're accomplishing the goal of providing you a service that satisfies you as the customer. And it's getting back to I guess I didn't finish my original statement was, it's not about membership. It's not about getting them back again. It's really about, are you providing a service that's so good that they're going to want to come back to you as the provider of their entertainment experience, whether it's a family entertainment center, trampoline park or action park, all these different types of facilities that are out there, are they coming back to you, or is it just like, yeah, you're okay, but I'm gonna this week, this month, or next in 6 months, I'm gonna go to the bowling entertainment center, and then then we're gonna go to the family entertainment center in the summer, but you're not the default, choice, and that's what we have to become is the default choice. Well, then it's not about a marketing. And again, membership to me is a marketing ploy. um, and the problem is the people that would want to sign up for a membership are the ones that are coming to your facility all the time anyway. So you end up providing them a special that's significantly discounted. They're going to be there dramatically more often, paying way less money. And like we discussed the other day, is those, not all of them, but like a percentage of those people that come in all the time now that you have a membership will literally be pissing off your other customers because they're the ones that are so good at laser tag or so good at whatever attraction they're in, or dominate a certain aspect of your facility, that like you will end up having to ban customers that are on the membership because they're there so frequently and they irritate your customers. And that is what happened when we did the membership. There were, not often, but there were times we eventually had to ban certain players because they were there all the time and they were so good that they could ruin a game experience for a wedding party that was there. And so there's, you know, so at the end of the day, the key is are we providing a service that is so exceptional that, one, is we talked about word of mouth is so important, that um, like, are you raving about your hair salon and saying you should go here? Like, that's how you do more business, is you have to put yourself in that position as an entertainment center. And again, I think there's multiple keys to being a great entertainment center. It's not only the experiences, the attractions that you have, it's the guest service experience, it's the food and beverage experience, which I think is more and more important. And we're even seeing, obviously, um, these these bigger fun centers, or the that kind of were trampoline parks, and they kind of migrated into action parks, and where they're putting in bowling, they're putting in bars, um, to kind of round out the whole experience, because the kid market is a pretty finite market. It's and again, teenagers don't necessarily want to be hanging around with 10, 11, 12 year olds. So it's a really difficult combination to figure out how to satisfy, especially if they're in playing something at the same time. You got a 16-year-old with a 9-year-old in a trampoline park, or a dodgeball trampoline. um it just doesn't doesn't work very well. And so again, I talk with when we talk with operators, the problem with our industry is there's so many levers that you can pull, and there's so many levers that are being pulled without you even knowing it. A new competitor, someone else got a new attraction down the road, that it's hard to identify why your sales are up, why they're down, why they're flat. Um, but ultimately, the key is are you providing the best experience? Are you buying the best customer service and the best food and beverage, and whatever else needs to be a part of the mix for what you're trying to accomplish with your particular center, that's going to satisfy your customers, or satisfy customers you need to get into your facility.
Yeah. And I want to come back to that because that's ultimately what it's about, right? Is are you the must go place? I mean, we're old enough to remember NBC's Must See Thursdays, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, right? Everyone tuned in that you had to watch it, you had to be there. Are you the place where people have to be? And that's ultimately it. And I think that we sometimes can get lost on the way of how do we get there. One of the arguments that people truly fundamentally believe is if people come in more often, they will spend more. In
Yeah,
your
like,
experience for memberships, is that true?
I was the opposite. I would say our most avid users of the membership spent the least amount of money on food and beverage. And again, we're one of our main attractions is a big giant multi-level laser tag arena, and this is unheard of in laser tag, but 60% of our guests are 18 and older. And so we and again, regulars were, it's a small percentage of our total business, very small. But you have 30, 40 regulars at one point in time. That was probably at our peak. And when we had the membership going, they would show up with their own water bottles and just, they would play, we limited it, and or they had to buy more, but we limited it to like 2 times a day or something they could do it. But they were still there, and sometimes they would buy another pass, and again, they are so much better than the typical player that if you're an average player, your score doesn't really matter. What matters is what are the regulars going to do in that game, and that's one specific example. And with like the social gaming experiences we had with like axe throwing, those are individual groups. Like they're not playing with other kids or other adults. They're in their own small group, and that actually works a lot better. But at the same time, you still wouldn't want to do a membership because your use on the axe throwing lanes and your other attractions, the wear and tear, um, it just doesn't pencil out. And if you want to, get a reasonable price, like a membership needs to be like $150 a month, not $30 a month. And we went as low as like, I think it was like $20 a month for like 2 attractions a day, and it was just wear and tear and everything else, and just it is not a good idea. And again, I look at it, even if you do it in a trampoline park or a place that has a lot of capacity, you still have the same problem of having these basically becoming the babysitter facility where parents are going to drop their kids off or sit in a corner on their laptop, and Billy, who's a terror after too many sodas, is the one that's you're causing problems. And I get up to the parent and say, by the way, Billy has to leave and never come back again. And then parents don't like to hear it. It's just I can't think of, after doing it for 5 years and really trying to figure out how to dial it in. Actually, COVID hit, and literally it hit, and we reset everything, and we said we're not going to do it when we come out of COVID. And I think all of our staff members are so happy we don't have it, and um, it yeah, and again, it really comes back to, um, and this is the hard part with the industry. Like right now, I think our industry is in the most biggest inflection point it's been in a long, long time. One, we're competing with in-home entertainment, which is gigantically better than it used to be. Um, and you're dealing with mobile entertainment, all these devices that literally, you can just sit there and swipe through it. And this person's that was going to go out on Friday night, he looks up from his phone and it's 10 o'clock, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm just going to go to bed now. He didn't go out, he didn't meet his friends out at the bowling entertainment center or the new social gaming venue that opened up, because he forgot, he was just got distracted by his phone. And it's the same thing with movie theater. You look at every industry, movie theaters, sit down restaurants, even fast casual struggling. And they open up a restaurant near us recently, and I'm like, it can't be that big. It was, and it was tiny, and I'm like, why is it so tiny? And it was an Outback, and it's because 50% of their business is takeout now, and so they don't need a lot of seats, and it's like people are not going outdoors because they're like, well, I can get my favorite food delivered to my house, and while I'm watching the movie that was out 3 weeks ago on my 80-inch, LED TV, and go to the bathroom when I want. And it's just like, that's what we're competing against. And um, so what we have to do is like, this again, it comes down to what are you going to give the customers? It's got to be the opposite of what they're doing in the home. It's got to be, I'm alone in my house, or my wife is there, my girlfriend is there, and that's it. Or I'm just there by myself, to what's going to pull people out of the homes. And I think the biggest differentiator right now that I see is social gaming, and obviously bowling's been around for a long time, and bowling is 100% social gaming. And if you look, like coming out of COVID, bowling just did took off and did extremely well. Why? Because it was like the most you know the thing that you could do with your family, that was, or friends and family, that was social, because people wanted to get out and they wanted to hang out with each other. The problem is, I think like if you just have bowling, I don't think that's enough. Like you need to have multiple social gaming experiences. You need to have, you need to have the bar. You need to have a really good bar. You need to have really good bartenders. You need to have a really good food um, service experience, and it has to be high quality. And food is hard. I mean, we do it at both of our locations, and one we have a full kitchen. The other one's more of a snack bar. We're going to add a full kitchen within the next 2 years at our Buffalo location. Um, but social gaming to me, and it's not really just social gaming. It's creating an environment within your facility where your guests can bring their friends and family. A corporate group can come in, and you can really hang out and just be with each other face to face, and actually bond. I mean, like, like if you go hang out with your family or your friends, and like literally you can communicate with, just like, look at your friend who you've known for 20 years, and just you raise your eyebrows and he knows what you mean. I mean, whatever the situation was, like, it's like, but you can't do that on a phone. You can't do, and that's where I think we can literally dominate. And I shouldn't say dominate. Like, that's where that if there is a, what's the right word? Not dominate. If there is a a core driver for getting people to leave their homes and come to our into our centers, it's how do we maximize the human experience with, being with your friends and family, being with your coworkers, and to me that's the number one driver. But it's hard to do. It's hard to design that. We work with a lot of architects, and I think they're really starting to figure it out. Like, people want their own little gathering space. They want their own little hangout. And I saw a design just the other day, and I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, that's the direction. And it's not that they want to, be alone. They want to be amongst all the community people, people that make up their community. They want to be out with other people, but they still want their own little campfire. They don't want to share their
Right.
campfire with a group of strangers. They want to, this is our group, but we're out, we're humans, and we're all together, and there's no AI in the building with us. and um, um, I think that's really the big differentiator, that, and again, the mobile devices and in-home entertainment is, we have to be the opposite of that. If we're not, in a good way, like, what is the opposite of that, but in a really positive human way? And if we can pull that off, we're going to get people to come to our facility more frequently than they're going to go to a place that you walk in, and you see two employees occasionally, and everyone's kind of doing their own little thing. And it needs to be, um, you need to be a community venue where people go to hang out with their friends and family. And I think that's
Yeah.
that's the key.
Yeah. And that and the thing to think about for our operators and for our owners out there is, it's, yes, we want to get frequency of visits up, but we want to get them up for the right reasons. Memberships, short term may increase your frequency, but long term is not going to increase the revenue that's coming in, and is going to maybe do more damage than good. And instead, focus on, how do we become, you just got to come back, right? Is that bounce backs? Is that creating unique events regularly? What do you think that is?
I think it, I think it, I guess it depends on what kind of bounce back. Because if you give me a bounce back for like 10% off, like, you gave me nothing. If you give me a bounce back for 50% off, come back within 20 days, you still gave me nothing, because I have a wedding coming up. There's going to be a funeral at some point in time. Then there's my kids thing. And then well, my kids thing is every weekend, because it's that time of year for hockey or whatever it is. So, you know, so I'll just give you an example. Like, we did all this membership for stuff for 5 years. And then finally it's like, well, what is our ultimate goal? It's just to get them back. Like, how do we get them back within 20 days, within 30 days? And I can't find this study, but I read this study. It had been like 20 years ago. And it was like, if you did a coupon that said, 20% off, and it expired in 30 days, let's say 10% of the people used it. It's like a place that it was like a donut shop or something. But if you did the same offer, 20% off, and it expired, and I can't find this study, I think it was like in less than 10 days or less than 20 days. Like, the amount of people that came back was like triple. Because if it's too long of an expiration date, then they kind of forget about it, put it on their desk, and then they get busy, and then it gets buried under clothes or whatever, and all of a sudden you find it 6 months later, and it's like, oh, it's expired. Um,
Yeah.
so and what we do is, and because again, we've realized the goal is how do we just get them back within X amount of days. And again, originally it was 30 days, and then we went, right now it's 20 days. We give you 6 credits, which is like you can do, and expires within 20 days, which means you can do one of our premium attractions plus one of our, um, like Bill user example, or you can use those two remaining credits, because it's 4 credits for a premium attraction, 2 credits for either. You can convert it to $10 in arcade. And then here's the thing that, like, I think our centers are pretty good. I think we have, we keep adding new things. We keep adding more social gaming experiences, but less than 10% of the people use that and come back. And it's shocking, but at the same time, there's a funeral, there's a wedding. My kids have all this stuff. My daughters have dance. It's there. That is the other thing you're fighting, is that most kids have their whole week scheduled, and with whatever event or thing they're doing, or the schedule is, I'm going to be in the basement playing video games. I'm going to be playing Fortnite. If I'm an older kid and I'm a teenager, I'm going to be playing Call of Duty. Um, those are things that are designed literally to be semi-social, and where kids can be on headsets and talking to their friends, and they're going in as a squad, and they're doing it all remotely. So those are the things we're competing against, but we can't copy those things. We have to do something the opposite of that, and where Billy and his friends are going to go play whatever it is, laser tag or bowl, or do whatever it is, but it's got to be, and it's got to be priced right, because it's and again, we got to price it because we're doing real world experiences, so it can't be too low, but it also can't be too high. And again, it depends on your market area, it depends on if you're in a tourist area and all that, but it has to be the right number. And again, all those things are difficult to figure out. You have to kind of do it, for your target market and based on your demographic.
Right. Well, Jim, listen, we are coming to the end of our time. I cannot thank you enough for your insights. And, quite honestly, when I first approached you about wanting to have this conversation with you, because I knew you were the guy to talk to about this, because you did the research, you did the data, you did it for so long. I was expecting you to be like, yeah, they're great. Everyone should do it. And your response left me a little stunned, and that talking through it with you and hearing why and your experiences, I think are so, so valuable, and I appreciate it. And I know that at the end of the day, if you offer a better customer experience, they're going to come back to you. So that's what we should focus on, right?
Yeah. Well, it's everything. It's the food and beverage, it's the attractions, it's the entertainment experiences, it's the
The whole
environment that they're in.
experience.
It's the
Yep.
whole it's a whole
Yep.
package.
Yep. So your employees, what it looks like, what it smells like, how clean are the bathrooms, uh, what are
100%.
your, right? I mean, that's actually the first one for me. How, what attractions do you have? And just the vibe of the place, and that those are the things that we can control uh a lot better than the marketing efforts of memberships and other things. So gosh, I appreciate your time so much, Jim. And I feel like we're going to have you on a few more times, because there's things that we've talked about that I'm like, that's a whole other topic. So
Yeah.
you'll be coming back soon, hopefully, Jim.
Well, I definitely would, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we hope today's conversation has given you some practical tools to help you sharpen your edge and accelerate your growth. If you're ready to grow your team, your business, or yourself, contact us at thegrowthprogroup.com and set up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Once again, a special thanks to our sponsors, Embed, Party Center Software, ANA Global, Betson, Simnox, Schaefer, and Roller, for all that they do to help us bring you the GrowthPro Edge. And until next time, I'm Denise Killian with the GrowthPro Group. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.